Hi everybody, Kirsten here. I wanted to talk about a little something different this week on my channel. It's been a while since I've had a video where I kind of just talk and I don't talk about a book, like a specific book. So I wanted to touch base on why the focus of my channel has gone a little bit less into multiple genres of books and basically kind of just into the romance spectrum of books. I have always been a romance reader. I really have. I remember my grandma reading, like, I have some of her books on the top of my bookshelf too, like Fabio romance novels. And I remember those, and I remember breaking into them when I was younger because I loved reading. I've always loved reading. And I remember breaking into her books when I was like pretty young, like second or third grade, and reading one and going, oh my God, this is amazing. And I kind of put that away and read like age appropriate books for a while. But I remember when I was younger, and I want to say junior high, like 7th or 8th grade, I had gone to Borders when it was still around with my mom, and I had gotten a couple of V.C. Andrews books. I fell in love with that kind of story, that gritty kind of thriller, sometimes paranormal romance story. And it took off from there. I read every single V.C. Andrews books that was out at the time, and I reread them and read them over again and over again and over again until I hit about high school. And when I was in high school, I remember stumbling upon the Harlequin website. Now, this was back when the internet was still kind of new, so it was a very beta form of website, and it wasn't very popular at the time because people didn't spend a lot of time on the internet yet. When I was like 15 or 16, it was still very landline based. I didn't have a cell phone. We had dial-up. It was a mess. But anyways, so after school, I would come home, and Harlequin would have this forum of books, and authors, specific Harlequin authors, would write these online books. So this was kind of like my first foray into kind of like an e-reader system. And these authors would upload a chapter every single day. So I would be reading like 8 books at a time, a chapter a day. And then because I was on the website so much, I actually ended up subscribing to their book service, and I got like 6 to 10 books a month from Harlequin. So, I mean, this is kind of like where it all started. I was really young when I started reading romance novels. And I always think it's funny now when I'm online and there's people my age or a little bit older that are in these book communities, and they're talking about how age inappropriate some YA books are. It just cracks me up because you should have seen the shit that I was reading when I was like 15. Like, ugh. And I think that there's such a huge stigma that comes along with being a romance reader and loving romance novels. And I love them to such an extreme. I think I'm kind of like on the extreme spectrum where I could be reading any other kind of book, any other genre of book, and the entire time you're like, you know what? When I'm done reading this book, I'm really gonna need some fluff to pick myself back up. And that's kind of how I read, is I read a fantasy novel. I'll read, you know, a paranormal or whatever kind of book I'm reading at the time. And if it's not a romance novel or like a romance-based novel, I will have to read 2 to 3 romance novels once it's done before I can move on to the next serious book that I'm reading. And I've always been that way. And I think that it's such a, you know, a sad thing that there is such a stigma on romance novels, and not only book communities in the literary world, but just in life in general. Like, see some random dude on the street or a random lady on the street, and they aren't huge readers, but they see you reading a romance novel. Like, people make fun of you for it. And I remember dealing with that when I was in my early 20s, moving out for the first time, moving in with a friend of mine, and they made fun of me for the books that I read. And they only read like Vonnegut and Bukowski, and the most trashy books that they read were Palahniuk. And I remember being like, why is that a thing? Why am I being made fun of for reading a book? Like, cool, you don't want to read it, that's fine. You don't have to read it, but I enjoy it. I'm not hurting anyone, so why can't I read a romance novel? It's the same thing. People making fun of you know, people for reading Harry Potter or any kind of book or any kind of genre. Nobody is better than another person because of the content that they read. Every kind of book that you read, whether it's romance, YA, sci-fi, fantasy, if you're only into classics, if you're only into nonfiction, you learn something from every kind of book that you read. And I think that a lot of times the reason why people make fun of women for reading romance novels is because women get made fun of for doing anything inherently feminine. And romance novels, regardless of how we want to see them in society, they are inherently feminine because they are catered to women. They're written for women. They're written with women as a demographic. And a lot of times they're written by women. So people make fun of things that are inherently feminine and women that like feminine things. And I think that a lot of times people really close themselves off from reading things because of the stigma attached. It's one of the reasons why I actually got out of Bookler on Tumblr. I didn't enjoy it anymore. I didn't like interacting with the people on Tumblr anymore or in that Bookler community. I don't even like interacting with people on Twitter, in the Twitter book community, because they're extremely judgmental of the things that other people read. They go out of their way to make sure that their opinion is known on the things that you're reading. And I think that's extremely inappropriate. I would never judge someone for something that they're reading. It's something that they get for enjoyment. It's something that they're picking up and choosing to read. They're books, people. They're books. One of the reasons why I did decide that romance was going to be the thing that I focused on is because I wanted people to know that there are other people out there that just love the genre. I have no problems picking up one of my Harlequin romance that have like a Fabio on the cover and reading it in public. No issue. My coworkers make fun of me, but in a loving way, because of my YouTube channel, because I talk mainly about romance novels and smutty books, and it's like, yeah, that's just me. It's just a part of me. It's just who I am. I love this genre. That's why I wanted to have this channel. This is why I wanted to talk about these books, is because I want other people to feel comfortable in the content that they read. And if you just need someone to be like, hey, it's okay, read that smutty book. I'm your girl. I am. Hey, it's okay if you want to read that trashy romance novel. Hey, it's okay. Get it, girl. You want to go watch the 50 Shades of Grey movie? Regardless of what anyone online says, because you loved it. Hey, me too. Hey, let's go do it. You know, I just love the things that you love. Be unashamed in who you are, and just read what you want to read. Fuck off with everyone else. Just you be you, and you read that romance novel, girl. You got it. I'm here for you. Well, hopefully that didn't get too ranty. I'm assuming I'm going to be editing a lot of this out, so we'll see how it ends up. But everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I will be back next week because I have a huge romance roundup. I've read like six romance novels in the past like 4 days, so I have a lot to talk about with you guys. But everyone, have a good rest of your week, and I will see you next time.